So Smilegate has finally released another balance patch. This one is coming in the middle of March in about 2 weeks. And you're going to see that the changes are affecting some units that have fallen out of flavor. We have 3 Moonlight units, including ML Charlotte, ML Lilica, and ML Rowana. I think ML Rowana is in an okay spot. She's not really great, she's not really bad. But the other two definitely needed buffs. They have definitely fallen out of flavor, right? Little Queen Charlotte, not really a reason to pick her anymore over Savior Aiden. And Tom Luca, you don't really ever pick her anymore over any other fast opener like Strays, Laika, and even like Zio, just because of that non-attack skill on her S2, making her very susceptible to a lot of counters. We also have Clarissa being changed, kind of random honestly, I don't know why she's being changed. Clarissa's kit is mostly for PvE, I don't know how you'd have to change her to make her viable for PvP, probably you'd have to rework her completely. I think there's a lot more other 4-stars that are just never used. Clarissa is still used in Wyvern one-shots, so she has some use, whereas there's some 4-star units that have literally 0 use, so that's very interesting. Then we also have the 3-star unit, Falconer Clary, and I'm very excited for this one. Falconer Clary in the past was an extremely powerful unit for PvP. She actually got nerfed because she was so strong. She was first picked all the time in World Arena, back when World Arena first came out, and it's always nice to have a good, or at least a few good 3-star units, specialty change units for PvP. Just makes the meta a lot more, I'd say, open to newer players to actually play RTA. So we'll see how that goes. And we also have an artifact being changed, the Victorious Flag from the Guild Shop, which is literally useless, right? Yeah, you're not going to really ever use it. We also will have Rage being changed, the buff. I believe it's given to Clarissa, right, after she uses her S3. And also have Constellation changes. So this is a very, very nice direction for the game. There's a lot of constellations that are kind of OP, makes units easier to build faster, and they don't really buff units by changing their constellation. So hopefully these changes will make these mage specs, or I guess mage heroes that have this constellation a little bit better. So let's start off with the important stuff, the Moonlight 5-star buffs. LQC, Little Queen Charlotte, ML Charlotte, whatever you want to call her. She is getting changed, basically, that her S3 will now inflict extinction. Pretty good, right? Makes it so that Destinas can't just insta-counter, and just anything with Revive, or even like Holy Sacrifice on Abyssal Euphine, which is probably the biggest reason why this is being added, right? If you pick LQC to counter Abyssal Euphine because she's a dark unit, they will just revive with Holy Sacrifice, and it doesn't matter. But with this change, they can't revive, which is a huge, huge buff. It'll make LQC very, very good into Abyssal Euphines, which is going to be very nice for the meta because Abyssal Euphine is kind of like super, super strong right now. And also they're changing her imprint concentration. Before it was defense, now it's going to be crit chance, which will make her even easier to build. And you're probably thinking, oh, you're giving up bulkiness for like damage potential. Doesn't she need more bulk because she one-shots anyways? Well, the thing is, if you look at the stat weights, at max concentration, you're getting 18% defense versus 16.8% crit chance. Crit chance is worth pretty much double defense in terms of stats. So you're just getting more stats from having imprints on her. So it's actually going to be a buff no matter what. It'll make her tankier and do more damage because you'll have more room in your substats in your gear to actually distribute to, you know, being more tanky or just doing more damage. I think this is a great change for LQC. It'll make her very strong, not very strong, but very good into the current meta, especially against Abyssal Euphine and just any dark unit. Now you can't just revive them or Holy Sack them, right? So pretty cool. Next we have Top Model Lilica being changed. So changing her Soulburn, it's not going to be on our S1 anymore. It's going to be moved to our S3, so you can't actually guarantee the extra attack on our S1, which is okay. You don't really care about this too much. You're mostly going to care about just one-shotting a unit. And this Soulburn will be onto her S3 now, which will increase the damage dealt. So very, very nice. This will make her a lot stronger already. Now, if we look at our S2 Victory Pose, it is being changed so that the CR push from the S2 is actually going into the S3. And instead of that combat readiness push for your entire team, you're actually going to get a barrier for yourself, which will scale with your level. And if you look at the Awakened version, right, the Awakened one actually increased attack of the caster for 2 turns, and you got an extra turn. Now it's going to give attack to all of the allies except for the caster for 2 turns. And they're moving that self-attack buff to her S3. So it's kind of weird. They're like switching some stuff, you know. And the reason why they're doing this is because she gets countered pretty hard by anything that disrupts non-attack skills. Very, very prominent against her is going to be like Green Celine and Politis. And without that attack buff for herself, she couldn't really do enough damage to one-shot. She was extremely hard to build. So by having the attack buff for herself on her S3, This will make it so that if you run into Selene's and Politises, you have the option of just not S2ing, giving your team that attack buff, instead just raw S3ing with that attack buff. And if you kill an enemy, you still do Extinction, and you will also CR push with your S3 now, and you'll give stealth to yourself. So pretty cool. The stealth is still the same. The biggest thing about this though is you can soul burn the S3 for more damage. You have attack buff for yourself. No matter what, you don't have to S2 on your S3, so it makes her a lot more safer to those units. And if you're not against those non-attack skill disruptors, you can always just use your S2 to even attack buff your team and give yourself barriers. So it'll make her a lot more consistent as a nuker, and because she has that built-in stealth, even if she doesn't use her S2 and just raw S3 as a unit, she'll have the stealth to actually make it to the next turn and then use the S2 to push your team, or not push your team now, but I guess give attack buffs to your team. So it's kind of weird. I think it'll make her definitely better as a nuker and not a speed contester, I'd say, because her base speed isn't that high, but just a nuker to actually one-shot units, and she'll be played a lot more. I don't know if this is enough to make her a lot stronger, but she'll definitely be at least a bit stronger. So next, we have Requiem Rowana. So Requiem Rowana is going to be changed here. You're going to see that what's being changed is her passive. Before, it could only be activated once per turn. When the foremost allies turn, except for the caster, you'll increase CR by 100%. So this is being changed, so this can actually stop units that can kind of screw up combat readiness gains. So this will make her a lot better. If you're against like Politis, sometimes you wouldn't be able to get that turn off. But if that unit in the front gets like 2 turns off now against like a Politis, you'll be able to still take your turn. Also, they're changing her S3, which was terrible before, and how it worked. It used to scale with how many times you used it, which was really stupid because it didn't really do that much damage anyways, and Requiem Rowana is mostly used in aggressive comps. You're not going to really take games very long. So they're actually removing it, just increasing the damage dealt all around, and giving it a 1 buff to spell. I think it's a lot better now. This will make her a lot stronger for aggressive players. I think if you don't play Cleave or aggressive though, and you don't like to play Zeo and like Ran and stuff like that, which probably won't be that great for you, but if you do, this should be a very good buff to actually deal with a lot of those pesky units that put up buffs for their team with immunity buff and stuff like that. And now we have the 4-star Covenant unit, Clarissa. So basically Clarissa is being changed. I think this is her S2. It might be her it's her S3. So her S3 is being changed, right? When an enemy is defeated, you reset the skill cooldown. And when you're enraged, the same thing happens. And yeah, now you have a higher chance to actually decrease defense from 50%. It'll just make it better for PvE. You're not going to use her in PvP. It doesn't really change Wyvern one-shot either, to be honest. Maybe it does because you get that extra defense break chance on the boss, but mostly going to be for like adventure mode for farming. So yeah, I don't really think this change matters at all. So we'll just move forward. And next we have Covenant 3-star. So Falconer Clary. So the special change of Clary, her runes, right? Before, you will do extra damage with your S1, proportional to your defense. This didn't really matter too much. Most people didn't really run her on super high defense to do damage because you needed speed on her, you needed some like effect resist and effectiveness, you need like health to, heal up because she gets percent max HP healing every turn. So you didn't really have enough stats to put too much into defense, and the scaling wasn't that great. And people didn't really run her on Rocket Punch Gauntlet because she is way better at abusing things that give her buffs every turn, like Justice for All and like Music Box. So this didn't really help her that much, but now you're gonna see it inflicts resource reduction on the turn by 40% when you use your S1. This is very, very good. This will work against Focus, Fighting Spirits, so it'll make her very good into Navy, Captain Landes, this Euphines, and those 2 units. It's probably the top 2 damage dealers in the game, and you can even defense break them to make them literally get one-shot by anything. Also very good against Lone Crescent Bolognas and Lionheart Sirmias, probably the second 2 best units in the game for damage dealers. So she'll be just a lot stronger now. I think you'll see her quite a bit more. I don't think this will make her super broken, but against those units, she'll be a very solid choice because she can defense break them, lock them down with Provoke, and also stop their resource reduction gain by a significant amount to actually, give you more time to kill them. Now we have the artifacts. So Artifact, Victorious Flag, pretty terrible. It was just when you had an elemental advantage, you do more damage and take less damage. Now it's just flat. If you're attacking, you do more damage, and if you're being attacked, you take less damage. And this can only apply to Earth, Ice, and Fire elemental heroes. So this is going to be very, very strong. This is going to be probably one of the best artifacts in the game, just because, yeah, you're going to do more damage now and take less damage. I don't know what they're thinking. I'm pretty sure this means like only if you get hit by Earth, Ice, and Fire Elemental heroes, and like when you're attacking them. But a lot of Guild Wars defense teams don't even run some like any Moonlight units. Like for example, Senya, Rand, Lilius defense teams, very common. This is going to be super good, right? Just getting 16% extra damage and 16% tankiness. In RTA, it's probably not as good because yeah, you're going to see a ton of Moonlights there, and you kind of have to use this into non-ML RGB teams, right? So I think this is very good for arena offense, Guild Wars offense, stuff like that. And even in Guild Wars defense, if you see your team getting attacked by a certain comp, if they have no Moonlights, you just pop this on. Or if they're even running like Moonlight units, but they're all support units, then you can pop this on and you'll be able to abuse it pretty hard. So I think it's a pretty cool change. It's still pretty niche, but I think it's a lot better now than it was before, which is great. Next, we have Rage. So Rage is getting buffed. Now it's 20% from 10. Doesn't really matter too much. I think the only PvP unit that uses Rage is like Mort. And Mort doesn't really care about attack, but he does care about speed. So 10% speed buff on him. It's okay. Clarissa, just a PV unit, so I don't think it matters too much, but maybe they'll release more units with Rage and make it a lot better. Or maybe I'm forgetting about some units, so who knows. Okay, so next we have Constellation changes. So some speed here is being changed to damage in attack, and then some of the attack is crit chance. I think these Leo mages probably don't care about speed too much, so they're just going to have a lot more damage, which is nice. For example, Eternal Wanderer Ludwig, regular Ludwig, Melissa, Roy Mustang, yeah, they don't care about speed too much. They're mostly just pure damage, so they're all being changed. And it looks like some of their stats are being changed, right, with the changes. And then there's a ton of other changes here for Virgo. I guess Virgos are getting more speed. So for example, Top Model Luca, who we saw got buffed earlier, who wants to be a little bit more faster. Even Architect Laika and Kaurik are getting speed buffs, so they're actually, in a sense, making them faster just to keep up with the meta, which is very good. I think these are definitely required changes. Pisces, I think that's how you say it, right? Pisces had a lot of crit chance, now they're not getting it, probably because they don't need crit chance, they're getting more bulk and speed. Auxiliary Lots, Gerardo, yeah, they don't need any crit chance, they only really need speed, and you're seeing that they're getting buffs. So pretty cool changes with these, what's it called? What do I say? Constellations. I know I didn't really talk about Virgo and Sagittarius, but yeah, I kind of glimpsed over it with the speed changes, right? So yeah, pretty excited for this balance patch. I think it's one of the better ones we've had in a long time. Even though it's pretty small, the changes that they're doing are pretty significant for each unit, besides like Clarissa and the artifacts. I'd way rather them have these more meaningful balance patches on fewer units. I guess a little bit more frequently would be nice, but you know, I'd rather have this than just like huge balance patches with like very unmeaningful changes. So let me know in the comments down below what changes you're looking most forward to, and I'll see you guys next time.